I went to Bali last summer, and that was the most life-changing experience for me. Like, I've never had a mindset change like going to Bali. The people there are incredibly karma focused, and they're very much like treat people the way you want to be treated, and they're very respectful. It's not like America, like it's so different. And I think that being there for a month and being inside of that culture, I was just kind of realized that like music is my sacrifice. It is what I'm willing to sacrifice and give back to the world because I have so many blessings in so many ways. I have a successful business and a beautiful family, so many friends. I own my own house, and so at the end of the day, if I spend 12 hours working on something every day and get to make people smile, like that's enough of a reward.
Welcome back to another episode of Path Unfolding. My guest here today is Bass Physics, also known as RJ. RJ, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
What's up, Jesse? I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Good. Where are you? You're in a hotel room. What are you doing?
I, I'm in Hawaii right now, enjoying the beach and having fun.
Oh, nice. Very cool, man. Well, yeah, I think first things first, you just dropped a new album, Lost in Space. And I saw like a slew of great collaborations. I listened through it yesterday. Like you're hitting a lot of different musical territory. I know obviously you play guitar. Let's talk about that. Like, tell me how that came together, and I'd love to jump into some of the collaborations as well.
Lost in Space was a journey for me. Bass physics started in 2012 with my buddy Luke, and since then, it's been ups and downs. It's kind of the way the industry goes for a lot of artists, and it's I'm trying to find the right words for it. It's tough to have like success in the beginning and then have a falling off, and where you kind of have this like, okay, what did I do wrong, and where did I go wrong, and it took a long time for me to build myself up as an individual, to have the courage to like really put myself out there as an individual artist. Luke left the group in 2016, and it was a mutual decision. He wanted to use his college degree and go and do a lucrative career path, and music wasn't making money at all for either of us. So it's um, that journey with Lost in Space was really my development as an individual. And the journey that bass physics has taken me along, and I finally was able to put it down onto paper, and translate it into something that wanted to tell a story from the beginning and also have a conclusion at the end of it that gives the listener kind of like a comforting feeling in a way, because that's what that story did for me. I'm now so happy, like truly intrinsically happy inside of myself, because I know that I have self love after going through the entire process of, ups and downs within the industry. Like, it doesn't matter, success doesn't matter to me. It is more about what makes me internally happy, and that's making music. So, Lost in Space was kind of a rediscovery for that, within myself. And uh, yeah, it's a very meaningful thing to me. I did that album for myself, to prove to myself that I could, and it ended up being beautiful.
Wow. I was looking through and I saw you had a couple collaborations. One with Edamame, who's on Gravitas. We did a full length album with him, and he's done a bunch of remixes for different songs. From there to some of the other, much more high energy songs and looks, I really appreciated the variety of and the dynamics of the album, how it's high highs, low lows. So I think you captured what you're saying really well. And the other one was Render, who is somebody that I'm just recently kind of coming to know. Right? So do you know Ed personally, Ed Amame personally? Do you know all these collaborators personally?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ed's a great friend. He's a really good guy. We did a tour together in 2018 with Lapa, who's the violinist for Emancipator. And we drove around the Pacific Northwest and just became really good friends. And ever since then, it's been like, hey man, we should work on a song, we should do this, but it just never came together. And that song Anechoic on the album with him actually was a song that he sent me probably like 2 3 years ago, and I was writing the album, and I was like going through, you have hundreds of ideas that you're trying to sort what is going to actually go on the album, and I just stumbled across that, and I was like, dude, this is so good, like we gotta make this something. And it just ended up being exactly what you said. It's a very dynamic song. It starts like, the way it starts is not the way it finishes, and it tells a story, and there's a journey there, and that was one of my favorite songs on the album.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm really excited about albums. I know right now the flavor of the day is singles, 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 eat it all day long on Spotify. But I think, right, you said Base Physics started in 2012. At a certain point in the artistic career, it's time to step up and show like what you can do in total and get things, really sequence of songs and build on an idea and deliver a concept. To me, that feels like a lot more artistically fulfilling, a lot more ways that you can flex your creativity, and then bringing in these collaborators like you did, that seems like a lot of fun. Like you really get to learn from each other and have that experience. What about that song with Render? Because if anybody's not familiar with Render, like he's, to me, I think the next Mr. Bill. Like he's killing it. He's got that glitchy beats, like clearly a wizard in Ableton or whatever, DAW he's working in. So yeah, what about working with him? How was that?
Liam is the man. Actually, me and Liam have been friends since the beginning of Base Physics. We've had the same management team with Fayline and Tyler Fay and Angela. So I've known him for almost 11, 12 years now. And it was the same situation as Ed. We've always said, oh, we got to make a song together, and just didn't come together until that perfect moment for the album. And it was a really cool song to work on. It was something that I started maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and it just had an intro. Sent it to Liam, and he went crazy on it and did his production thing. And he's so talented. I mean, Liam is one of those artists that if you go into his studio, he will play you like 350 unreleased songs that are all just incredible. And you're like, what are you doing with all of this? And he's there to make fun, like have fun, or for like
Yeah.
anything else, and that's something that shines. And his old project was Templo, before Render. So Render is kind of his new thing, and I think he's done such a good job with it.
Wow. Okay. So we've definitely worked with Templo. I did not know that Templo was
Same
Render.
guy.
Wow. Oh.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Well, there we go. Nice, man. Well, that's great. Well, Liam's great, man. And wow, I had no idea that he had those types of production chops. So that's super cool. I'm glad. I mean, I loved his Templo project, but that's exciting. So wow, you heard it here first, or at least I learned about it first. So the album is seamless. Let's talk about that, like from a production standpoint, or even like a sequencing standpoint. Are you thinking how like writing in certain keys and BPMs? Like how did you bridge that and end up making it all seamless?
Honestly, my only explanation for that is it divinely came together really well. I didn't like, again, some of these songs were written years ago and then polished up for the album, and picking those songs and what ideas I was going to go with was like kind of the first step to that. I had to, basically say, okay, I have 15 songs here that could all go on the album. I'm going to finish all of them and then decide what to do from there. And when I write music, I obviously try to like keep myself in a certain BPM range. I want that song to be able to be easily mixed with everything else. I also aim for certain keys. The majority of this album actually ended up in it's like a E flat major key, which is really interesting. I don't know. I just love playing piano, and like I'll just sit down and just kind of improvise, and that's how I start a lot of my songs. And a lot of it's in the same key, so it just ends up working really well together. Um, and then I also wrote, in the relative minor for a few songs to make sure that it would translate really well over. Um, but yeah, it really wasn't like as well thought out as it sounds like it was. It just kind of came together, and it was beautiful, and I was just so happy about it.
Cool. I haven't seen on your socials or anything. Are you thinking about printing it to vinyl?
Yeah, yeah,
Very
that's the
cool.
plan. we're looking into that right now. You know, the budget for writing an album was pretty high, so had to pick and choose what to do and when.
Sure, sure. Well, hopefully you can make money on that. I mean, my advice there is do variants, color, limited edition, anything like that. When we did Clozy's first like EP, the Harmony album, sorry, it was Revolution and then Harmony. We numbered them and we wrote on the back like what number of 1,000 they were. And as people started to discover that, they got really excited. And so now, if you look on Discogs, people will be like, "Oh, I have number 32 or I have number 100." So
Oh, cool.
yeah, it just makes it fun, makes it like collector's edition and signing things like that. The more color variants you do, like I wouldn't do any more than like two or three, but that people dig that as well. Um,
Cool. Thank you. Appreciate that
yeah,
advice.
of course. The last song on the album, Way Back Home, like that seems like the culmination of the album. Will you tell me a little bit about that one?
Yeah, absolutely. That one has Grace Sayuri singing on it, and we both came together and we wanted to write a song about depression. It's a song about like the hard times in life and when you're not, feeling your best. And it has a twist in it, with the lyrics, and it's like I found my way back home. I've been through all of these things that have happened, and I found my way back to myself. And that again is like the best way to conclude this album because that's what it meant to me, is finding my way back home to myself.
Wow. As I was looking at different things about the album, I read that you debuted this at Ember Shores, which is Illenium's party down in Cancun. That must have been really special to play it. Did you play it in its entirety for the like from start to finish?
I did, yeah. I had an hour set, and like the first 30 minutes just went crazy on the mixes and throwing down really hard. And then halfway through, I was like, "Hey guys, I want to take this moment and play you my brand new album from top to bottom, and just want you guys to sit back and smile and enjoy it." And like I get choked up thinking about that moment because it really was, man, it was so cool. It was really special, to take this story of an album and play it somewhere that amazing. It was really meaningful to me.
Wow. You are getting choked up. That's awesome, man. Thank you for sharing that. Like that shows like how much you really put your heart and soul into that music and like how you wanted to connect with people. And I know Nick. I've worked with Nick Illenium. We did a song with him and Said the Sky and a vocalist named Christina Soto. We did one single, put it out on Gravitas. I believe this was 2016, and he was not obviously where he is today. But
Hmm.
I was always really impressed with his work ethic and his ability, and obviously Said the Sky as well. They're both like just this duo. So what a journey to have seen him rise to where he is. We can talk more about that, but for you to play his, you know, um, whatever festival, beach festival, I guess, whatever you want to call it, and to have that moment, that crowd and his, sort of his fans seem like a perfect fit for what you're doing. That's a really, it seems like a really natural fit for you musically.
Yeah, I agree. I'm so blessed to be friends with him and Trevor, and we've all known each other again since before it all started really. And Trevor actually mentored me on production for a while. I learned a lot from him. Nick is someone who's like I send him a song and he gives me feedback. Like he's the most humble dude at the most like highest level of success. And like when you hang out with him, you're just like how is he that way?
Yeah.
With how much energy is surrounding him, and all he has is love to give. And you really see that in his music, so it's cool.
Wow. That's great to hear that because, yeah, like you said, there's so many people that want something from him or can, think of him as a means to an end. And probably because you've known him before, he knows you're a safe, a safe person and he's down. That's awesome. Yeah. I actually, we worked with, I think, how was, or his part, one of his managers. And I believe that's one of your managers as well. So that's,
Ha, yeah.
yeah, aha. Okay. Yeah. Great.
Yep.
How is it working with him? Like, I believe he also puts on Global Dance, and that's That's kind of one of their ventures.
Hmm. Yeah, him and Lance, man, they're great. They're my team is a power team. We have Ha, Lance, and Angela, and me and Angela work constantly, day in day out on base physics, and we're always getting things done. And Ha and Lance are there to hold down the backside of it and make sure that things are being planned properly and making the right tactile moves. And again, just being around that team, because Ha and Lance are part of the Illenium team. It's a motivating factor that I'm constantly like, okay, I need to one up myself. I need to put, if I'm going to show Ha or Lance a song, it's got to be really good
Mm.
because they have so many artists that are just absolutely incredible. And you want to stand out. So um, it's always a motivating thing. Working with them is like, I love the challenge because it's you have to perform, you have to
Mm.
come in and give them something to think about. Otherwise, they're going to think about everything else. So I do love working with Ha and Lance, and Ha's been there from the start. He was my first manager back in 2013, and he just believes in me so much, and I don't know why, but he does, and it's awesome.
Well, I mean, believe it, man. You're working hard. I think going back to the album, it seems like you've put in a lot of hard work and tried to level up your production. Being a modern day electronic music producer slash DJ is no small feat, right? There's so much to learn. There's just every aspect of the music, percussion and some, melody and just, sound design. There's that. Then there's the marketing and the business part of it, the strategy, all of that. So
Emotional health.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. Like it sounded like you've had some challenging times. Like there's been times where you've wanted to give up, and again, I heard this beautiful story about your friend and the letter. I don't know if you want to
Oh
dive
yeah.
into that. Yeah, tell us about that. Tell me about that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I was in high school. It was my junior year, and one of my close homies passed away in a motorcycle accident. His name was Jamie, and it was like my first trauma in my life. It
Mm.
was kind of like a very traumatic moment for me and my friend group, and I used it as a motivating factor. I was like, hey, Jamie can't live his life anymore. I'm gonna go and live it to the fullest, and I'm gonna, I remember telling him in my head, I was like, I'm gonna play Red Rocks for you, you know, and it was always something that pushed myself further and trying to, I guess, just be the best person I can, but also the most successful that I can in whatever I'm doing. And it's like 2016. I think me and Luke were probably fighting, and we all were not getting along, and we wanted to call it quits. And I come home from my college class, and there's just a letter sitting on my kitchen table. It was the wrong house address, but the same street. Wasn't meant to go to my house at all, but had Jamie Smith's name on it. Just spelled exactly the same way. And I still to this day have not opened this letter. It comes on stage with me every single time I play, inside of a book. And yeah, he, just a motivating thing. And that moment when I came home and saw that letter, I was like, I can't, with anything inside of me, I can't give up on this ever. Like uh, there's no more divine sign than like, a homie that passed away sending you something and being like, hey man, don't give up. Like that's so cool. I like to use my angels, the people that I lose in life, or um, can't be here with me anymore. I like to keep their energy around by using it as motivation and you know further my life with it. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think research says like when people are on their deathbeds, they never regret trying. They never regret doing the thing that they wanted to do. People regret working too much. People regret not spending enough time with their loved ones. Like you said, you're not chasing success, but we are chasing those moments, those memories, and the meaning, and like doing something hard, putting ourselves out there, being vulnerable, sharing our art, creating something that people can enjoy and let go and just feel joy from. is always going to be a worthwhile adventure. And I think it's always going to open a door to the next thing, right? Even if basic physics was to stop today, like you have built this whole network of people and honed a bunch of skills that will always that would transfer to whatever else you're trying to do. I think about that with gravitas of just how many different people I've been able to connect with, build memories with, create projects, launch things. And it's sometimes it's not even about what you do. It's just that you're trying and putting it out into the world and it'll come back. So
Amen. Yeah.
rest in peace, Jamie. I'm glad that you have that motivating factor. I think that there's a lesson there of like finding something that can that you to that means something to you to that you can it's like your rock, your cornerstone to come back to when things get tough, because they will. And then what's your why? What's your like your root of why you're doing what you're doing?
Mm. I went to Bali last summer. We three of my friends just rented motorcycles and rode around to villas, and you know got wild up in Bali, and that was the most life changing experience for me. Like I've never had a mindset change like going to Bali. The people there are incredibly karma focused, and they're very much like treat people the way you want to be treated, and they're very respectful. They're very it's not like America. Like it's so different. And I think that being there for a month and being inside of that culture, I was just kind of realized that like music is my sacrifice. It is what I'm willing to sacrifice and give back to the world because I have so many blessings in so many ways. I have a successful business and a beautiful family, so many friends. I own my own house, and so at the end of the day, if I spend 12 hours working on something every day and get to make people smile, like that's enough of a reward. Um, and thankfully, I do have my other business, so I'm not worried about money, and I'm able to just make decisions, purely out of what I want to do and not what's going to put money in the bank, right?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about your business. As you know, I was looking into you and your project. I saw that you have this business. Tell me about that. Tell me how that's developed over the years and kind of the path that that's taken.
Yeah, well, when I was in college, just picked up a side job, and it was cleaning model homes for new home builders. And I remember like my sister came to me and she was like, "Hey, this person is looking for this cleaner, essentially." And I was like, all egoical. I was like, "I'm not going to clean houses. What? What do you mean?" But I ended up doing it, and it is a very lucrative business. And I did that for five years with another company as a subcontractor, and then in 2019 started my own company. Um, got a couple home builders as clients and started building it from there, and then the pandemic hit, right? And I'm a cleaning company, so I went from 10% to 1,000% of work, and it was insane how much work and time it took to really build up the company to be self-sufficient. But now that I'm there, it's now 5 years after that, and I have a manager, I have people running the company. I'm basically just an acting CEO, and allow all my contractors, my subcontractors. I have this company set up in a way that is like it's all based around treating people right. It's all based around paying people the right rate, allowing them to actually live their lives, and it's a part-time gig but pays full-time money. It's a really really great opportunity, and there's a reason why I've done it for 10 years, and started my own company doing it. Um, I just got very lucky. I really did. It was hard work. It was 3 years of sacrifice of not working on music to build up this company, which I think people look at base physics. I think that sometimes like my older fans will see, okay, like he had this like span of like 4 or 5 years where he didn't really do anything. Well, that's because I was building my company and allowing myself to be self sufficient, so that music was no longer okay. I have to play this show to pay my rent this month. That's not fun.
I mean, dude, that's freaking phenomenal that you've pulled that off, put that together. I mean, to have a business that is operated and running to the point where you can take your hands off that's called winning the game in my book. I mean, that's like you beat the boss, and you get to, and you know you get to just play the game again. And I think another thing that for me, as a record label owner, as I work with artists and they come in, sometimes they don't have a business acumen. And I think it's, if you do want to work in the music industry, in the music business, you're going to have to learn about business. And that can be challenging because we're just trying to be creative. We just want to make art. And then the money and the business starts to come in play. And those things can kind of fight and be, but it's all part of it. And you know, going back to earlier, is like there's so much to learn. Just to learn to make the music is another, but if you can get good at the marketing and the strategy and the branding and the business part of it, like you have learned so much inside of that. So do you feel like your business experience with your, you know, non-music business has helped you with your music business now?
Yeah, I mean, I would say almost the opposite because music was first. I did get a business degree in college from CSU. So I think, you know, and even when I was super young, like I was like 6 or 7, and I was putting out a lemonade stand, you know, just constantly hustling. Like, but I was always trying to make a dollar. I think I got my first job at like 13 at a plumbing warehouse and worked there all summer long, you know, for a couple summers in a row. And I think business has always just been natural for me. I just really enjoy, you know, building and watching something grow. It's cool.
Well, it shows, I think, character in that you're not afraid to try and you just put yourself out there. And a little bit of like, I think one lesson in business that I've learned is you're just not going to have all the answers. You have to sort of build the airplane as you go, and you'll get ahead of steam. And then that sort of opens up the next door or the next, you know, challenge or thing that you have to tackle. And you're like, okay, now this is the thing we have to get. So, you know, it's sort of brick by brick. I tell a lot of artists that I work with, it's like, you know, how do I get to this place in my career? And it's really is like song by song, fan by fan, day by day, you know, brick by brick, there, you know, market by market, city by city, gig by gig. There's no shortcuts. It's really have to show up each and every day. And I think the other thing that I see in your project is, you know, you said you took a break, but consistency and not giving up. People like, there's, you know, there's a lot of artists that we've put out on the label and then they gave up and now they're not there, and it makes me sad. But the ones that have stuck with it, they just, their stars continue to rise, and there's a lot of truth in that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate how difficult the industry really is for artists, you know, because there are a lot of artists out there that maybe never even got a limelight or gave up because it was so difficult, and you know, you never know what they could have created. So it is unfortunate in that way, but I think that also plays into why we have such beautiful music. You know, pain creates beautiful things, and I think a lot of artists feel more than the average person does. So I think that accumulation of the situation kind of, it helps us push things. It helps us bring things farther, and you know, keep trying. And same thing as being on a team or anything. You know, just being motivated and wanting to work hard for it, showing up in anything in life, you know, will make a huge difference.
Yeah, yeah. Have you read Rick Rubin's book or any of it?
No.
Oh, yeah, highly recommend that. He talks about just as a creative, like one of your jobs is just to learn to tune in, right? Learn to listen
Mm.
to what the universe is bringing, and then that's your inspiration, and then giving it back to the world. And it's just kind of reminded me of what you said.
I
Highly
like that.
recommend it. Yeah, yeah. It's basically like really short chapters. They're like little meditations on creativity. And so, well, I know you're based in Colorado, which is just basically the epicenter mecca of bass music and all things electronic music. You've got so many talented people out there. I had seen when you played at the Bluebird, which was like this, you know, big headlining show that you did last year. You had Colby Buckler as your drummer, right?
Yeah, Colby's the man, dude. He's somebody that I've played with a number of times, and whenever I play Colorado, just because it's like hometown, been playing here for 13 years, you know, I try to bring some spice. I try to, yeah, I think every headliner I've done there, I've brought in somebody else to do, vocalists. I had a xylophonist at one point. I had, saxophone. I had, like, I try to make it as interactive and engaging as possible. But Colby is probably the only drummer that I would trust to drum over one of my sets because he's so fucking good.
Yeah, I mean, he's done Emancipator. He's done right. He's played with Pretty Lights. He's played with Minert. I mean, I think the list just goes on and on. I love that man. He is just a staple. And I think I heard that you've got a collab coming up with Manic Focus and ProbCause on it as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I tweeted about that, and yeah, I wrote a song with Manic Focus. It's really dope. And then we were both like, dude, we should ask Prob if he wants to get on this. And Prob was down with it. He hasn't sent that back to us yet, so it's still a work in progress. But I'm really excited about that one.
Yeah, well, those are A-plus players right there. Well, I mean, I think it just shows you like the trust that people have in you, the type of collaborators that you're pulling. That's great. And also, I know you've worked with Sodown a good bit as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like that's just like Colorado through and through. I'm jealous of you guys. I'm down here in Austin trying to make it happen.
Austin's a good scene too, but yeah, Denver is unbeatable. It really is so amazing having just in your backyard so many incredibly talented people that like I want to give Emport a shout out right now too because he's always helping me learn, production and another person that I send music to frequently, and we have an amazing collab that we wrote together. We spent like 8 hours in the studio one day just writing a song, having fun, just jamming, and then at the end of it, we were like, dude, this is Hit the Road Jack. It was like a swing style bass song and whatnot. We were like, wait, this is Hit the Road Jack. So like months later, I'm in Bali and Mark sends me the song with him singing Hit the Road Jack over it.
Oh,
And it was
nice.
sick. I was like, dude,
Nice.
done. Absolutely. So I recorded a harmony of me singing as well. So we have like a full instrumental cover of Hit the Road Jack that goes into this like underground kind of wobbly bass, like really,
Nice.
really sick drop. Um, yeah, no, working with him is just so much fun, and I think we have like three more collabs as well that are in the works, and I'm surprising myself lately with how much music I've been putting. I just put out that album, but I probably have 35 other songs that are ready to go.
You feel like you got some creative freedom because you've done this big project and now you can kind of like go back to maybe a little more bite-sized stuff.
Well, I think part of it is also like writing that album was 4 months of like almost 16-hour days, just constantly working on it, and it's like a lubed up engine. You start learning stuff faster, you start working quicker, you have
Mm,
your templates of all your sounds. Like I now have so much more to create with after going through that process, and the ideas flow easier. So
nice.
yeah, the
Nice.
more you do it, the easier it gets, honestly.
I've discovered that the covers are sort of the new remixes because at least in the United States, you can get a compulsory license to release a cover. And so as long as you can find a vocalist and recreate that song, you can put that out. And that also being said, Spotify really loves covers. So they're rewarding that. There's whole playlists. And I mean, you listen to songs that get, um, licensed for music and television. And there, a lot of times I'm seeing covers show up there as well. The publishing is a little more tricky with that, but that's a hack right now. I would say that that's like something that you can do and get some good attention, especially as an early on artist. You may not necessarily saying you, but for others, like saying, okay, who could I cover that people would know, and then just like what back in the day when everybody would remix stuff and put it on SoundCloud, and then you would kind of blow up a little bit like that. This is the new way to do that, and you can also get some money for it. Some of it goes back to the original artist, and some of it can go back to you. So
Are you familiar with Import at all?
I am not. No.
Oh, definitely check him out, man. He's had a couple viral sensations for sure, and
Okay.
yeah, he's blown up a little bit in the last couple months. And yeah, man, his music is just so good. He just did a cover of "Day Tripper" by the Beatles,
Okay.
And it was originally just a bootleg flip that he put on SoundCloud, and like just went like it got 100K in like a couple weeks or something, like maybe a week. I don't even know what it was, but it blew the fuck up.
Yeah.
And so then he went back and had another vocalist do the cover vocal, and now has it on distribution as well. Um, and so just what you're saying, that is kind of a hack. It's a great way to do it.
Nice. I love it. I mean, I think I actually talked about this on one of my last podcasts, but it's in the music world, like going back to the jazz standard, you would want to hear whoever your favorite jazz artist was play those jazz standards or play those songs and hear their version of it. And so that's like going back to like old school music, ways that it was done. And so we have these songs we all know and love. Then you get to see so and so's take on it, or what would Miles do with this, and like that's dope. And so I think some of that's been lost in this race, this arm race of electronic music and all these heavy drops. But I think this is some territory that could get really fun for people to go back and rediscover all of their like our roots, and the songs that made some genres great, cover them, redo them in their way, and kind of breathe new life into them. I'm excited to hear that. I wanted to ask about you winning the sailing championship. I was watching an interview. Tell me about this.
Sailing championship was awesome. I was probably 14 years old when I won it. I think I was at a summer camp in New Hampshire, and it was just an outdoorsman camp. Couldn't use electronics or anything for about 5 weeks, and it was a all boys camp, and just I found that the thing I wanted to do there the most was sail. My dad's always had sailboats when I was growing up, and I just really loved sailing. So I entered a sailing race with, they're called sunfishes. They're like single person little tiny sailboats, and won the championship and got my name on a plaque there. And my dad was never able to win that sailing championship, so I always give him shit for that.
I love it, man. I wanted to ask you about your tattoos. I know you have a bunch on, what is this, your left arm or your right arm?
Yeah. So I got a broken keys on the outside of the forearm there. Uh, Compass on the elbow. He's got to finish up this little patch right here. And then on the shoulder, a woman with a bear on top of her head. On the inside, it's an owl, and then the mountains and river. And basically, what this is like me as an essence. This is my family, my connections, the people that I love. Remembering to stay humble, uh, my guidance, my love for music, love for the outdoors. This is not the Odessa sign. This is a vector equilibrium, which is the strongest 3D shape that there is. So this represents strength. Owl is wisdom. And then I have 1111 clock on my shoulder up here. And then I'll show you guys this too. I have my dog on my leg.
Nice.
That's Hendrix right there. Yeah, he's a good boy.
That's dope, dude.
And then I have Metatron's cube on my back as well. So I'm a big sacred geometry Wookiee dude, I guess.
What about that really appeals to you?
Well, I got the tattoo on my back when I was 18, and I remember very specifically that I got that to like really meditate and focus on remaining humble and remembering how I was getting to where I was in music, and remembering the people that got me there. So like tattoos for me are not just the image. It's something that like when I'm getting that imprinted on my body, I am full meditation, full Zen mode, like focusing on repeating these words in my head that I want that tattoo to mean to me. It's not just art. It is so much more. It is like it's a part of me, and it defines me on a daily basis. So getting that sacred geometry tattoo on my back as I was going through these ups and downs in the industry, kept me grounded. It kept me, very, I don't know how to say it. Like it just kept me focused. And, Jamie was in that saying that, like there's so much meaning behind them. And I think that it's a beautiful way not only to express yourself, but it's a beautiful way to remind yourself of who you want to be. But the sacred geometry stuff is very much I just love the way that it makes life make sense. Like the platonic solids of life. Like that is there's no more finite thing in life. There's no debate about that. Like you look at an atom and you can see the actual like it makes sense. And for me, I've never really been a religious person. It just gives me guidance.
Yeah, I felt that way about math and science. Like as I started taking psychedelics kind of early on in high school, I got really excited about organic chemistry and also math. And it was like, this is the language of the universe, right? Expressed through, symbols and shapes. And when you start, like what you just said about the atom, when you start to see how these are the building blocks of our life, or if you look at the things like Fibonacci sequence, when that starts to unfold and we keep finding that, pi and this Fibonacci sequence across the universe and through measurements, and it's just like there's something there. This is like the fabric of what makes us, and it just something about that really gives us, kind of some comfort in this crazy world that we're living in, that you really feel like there is something going on behind the scenes. I wanted to go back to 1111. So this, I guess, what I know it as is the number of angels. Is that what that's representing for you?
Yeah, yeah, I know there's a lot of meanings behind it. For me, it's a guidance thing. It's like when I look at the clock and it's 11:11, I'm reminded that I'm kind of on the right path.
Hmm.
Um, people say like 11:11 make a wish. Like I really advocate for like 11:11 gratitude. Like if you can take those moments where you're praying to the universe or your God or whoever, and you can just give gratitude and just say thank you. Like that, if you're not asking for anything and you're just saying thank you to the universe, that
Hmm.
comes back to you so heavy. And yeah,
Yeah.
11:11 is just that for me. Every time I look at my phone, I I say a prayer. And I say, "Dear universe, thank you for my life. Amen."
Ah, yes, love that, man. Well, on my end, I'm actually getting a tattoo on Friday from Ua of the Glitch Mob. I'm flying to
Oh,
LA,
sick.
and him and I have been working on this for a while and haven't been able to make it happen. But he is tattooing a picture of a match that's just gone out, and around it is sort of this empty space, and then around that is stars. And that has to do with my mom, who passed away in 2022, and she actually passed away on May 11th at 11:11 a.m.
Wow,
and
that gave me
and what
chills, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's great, man. I mean, it was a beautiful, like a beautiful, amazing experience. I was there when she passed. We were listening to the Beatles, Blackbird, and a tear like rolled down her eye, and then she kind of took her last breath and she was gone. And so yeah, we've been working on this tattoo, and like I had all these different ideas of what I wanted and things to put into it. And I made it like really, really complicated. And I think Josh was like, "Oh, I don't know how to do all of that in a tattoo." I love what's on your sleeve, because you broke these ideas out and they're easily expressed, like one word: wisdom and knowledge, and guiding lights. And so I think that's the way to go for it. Like I only have one other tattoo, and it's this lightning bolt,
Sick.
and that's from Lightning in a Bottle. I get to stage manage that, and then I had this cat. My wife and I have this cat named Zeus who passed away, and so it was kind of like a double thing. Um, so
Damn, man, I'm
that's
sorry.
cool. Yeah, no, man, it's good. Like it's we will see them again, my friend.
Yes,
Um,
you will.
the Is it all the same artist on your arm?
This arm is all Brian Alfaro with Certified Tattoo.
Okay,
Actually, he's not at Certified anymore. He's starting his own shop.
okay,
And then the one on my leg, Hendrix, is done by John. He's a Denver artist, incredible.
cool.
And then the one on my back, dude, it was so long ago, I don't even remember his name.
No doubt. That's cool. I mean, I
Yeah.
think yeah, the one on your arm is really cohesive, and I always wonder about like if you were going to get a sleeve, like what people jump around from, and it all of a sudden kind of looks like, you know, people, a bunch of different artists have their way with you, so it doesn't quite make sense. That's dope, man.
This sleeve was this was done. So I had my shoulder done like a year or two ago, and then went in June, 2 days back to back, 18 hours, got this whole arm done.
Wow.
Yeah, bro, that was a test of myself and
Wow.
really pushed the limits of, like I said, when I'm getting tattooed, it's a meditative thing. Like, um, I've never felt pain like that before, and it took me to a place that was like euphoric. Like it really was. Like I got out of it, and I was like, I have never felt so alive, and it was outstanding. But healing was a bitch. Like 2 weeks, I think my forearm was like double the size, because it just swelled up. So like, yeah, last night we were decided to go out in Waikiki. We jumped on some scooters, and my buddy Shane took a little digger because we had maybe had a little bit of alcohol. um, so he woke up with a black eye, and then today I was flying my drone, and he was catching the drone because we were on the beach, and I told him to grab the battery at the top, but he tried to catch it like this, and then put his fingers in the blades and sliced up his fingers. So Shane's getting beat up by the island, but we're out here having a blast. It is absolutely gorgeous outside. So
What drone do you have?
I have the DJI Avata, so I like the
Okay.
FPV stuff. Yeah.
Nice. Nice. I have a DJI Air S2 and I love it, but I have not done or I've tried an FPV, but I've not flown those. So are you good? Like the Avata makes it fairly easy to do the FPV, but are you good? Like, can you rock
Yeah,
a?
I did a simulator for like probably 6 months before I actually bought one.
Wow.
Um, so I'm not like great, but I mean I can keep it up.
Yeah.
I can go out there and
Right.
fly. Some of the videos
Right.
are crazy, man. You'll see these dudes just dive into like a smokestack and then come out the bottom of it. It's yeah.
Yeah, I think the main people I've seen are like black sheep people. They do some crazy shit. I've seen one where I believe this is all one shot, but they like start outside a bar, they fly into a bar, they fly all around the people, through the building. I mean, the fact to even do that, and they have like a radio person that's like cueing it, like, okay, here it comes around this person, and it's all choreographed where somebody's like walking through, walking right in front of it at this one time. It's bananas. So
I have a good buddy of mine that I've known for forever. His name's Cameron Goldberg, and he does a lot of the FPV concert shoots in Colorado. He shoots Red Rocks, and he's probably the best drone pilot that I've seen. His videos
mm,
are incredible, and all the time he's doing like, marketing scenes where they're like, cue this, and the people start pouring drinks, and as he's flying through the bar, and yeah, that's such a cool way of marketing something. It's so awesome.
well, that sounds fun, man. Well, enjoy your time in Hawaii. What I guess I want to hit like kind of close this out with what's coming up next for you. What are you excited about? We talked about a bunch of collabs. You've got maybe a vinyl coming out. What's coming up for you that you're stoked on?
Well, I just signed with Prism Agency, so expect to see me playing a bunch more shows. Yeah, haven't really hit the road hard with all this new stuff and all this new motivation and energy. So really gonna try and get out there, play as many shows as possible, and uh, just keep releasing as much music as possible too.
That's a solid agency. They're doing some solid pickups. That's a hard business. Running a booking agency is no joke. Well, cool, man. Well, yeah, would love to get you down to Austin. Have them hit me up, point them in the right direction of anybody that I've got here. Would love to see you play and connect. Go out to have some food and a drink when you're in. And yeah, man, um, excited to hear these new collabs.
I would love to work with Gravitas. I'd love to do something with you guys, and I really enjoy your energy. I really enjoyed talking to you today. So that's the kind of people that I look forward to working with. And it's it's all about love, bro. It's all about energy and vibe. And I don't work with people who I don't enjoy. So I've thoroughly enjoyed our conversation today. So I would love to,
Yeah.
hopefully do something together in the future.
For sure, man. Absolutely. We've got a bunch of cool ideas coming up this year, and yeah, man, same here. Been absolutely great to connect with you. Love the new album. Love
Thank
your
you.
energy as well. So yeah, man, let's collab, let's connect, and I'll talk to you soon, brother. Good luck.
All right. Hell yeah. Much love, man. Thank you, Jesse.